Good afternoon, everyone. All those who are watching, welcome to all. Today's session or today's discussion is about score improvement program for GS Mains 2023. The audience I'm looking at is someone who has cleared this prelims 2023 and is now going to appear for Mains 2023. The session is basically for uh, English medium candidates who are giving the exam in English medium. But today's session, definitely Hindi medium candidates can also understand what should be our next activity. The session's name is, if you're writing Mains 2023, if this is your second attempt or more on it, more attempt, and you're unable to increase score, so what next? What happens is there are many aspirants who clear the prelims who are able to uh, write the mains many times. But what happens? They're unable to clear the minimum requirement cutoffs to get an interview call, or even if they have got the interview call, to get into the list. And even if you're there in the list, but at the required numbers or kind of whatever trend says for likability of the services, they are unable to find any relevant position. So they keep on attempting the exam in the hope of bettering it each time. As a mentor to many of the aspirants, what Revise for Eyes keeps on saying is to get a different result, what you have been getting since last many years, you have to do things differently. So what we understand, what exactly is our strategy in the next 3 months to do things differently is what we are going to see in this open session. You may write your comments in the uh, chat box and let us know if you have anything to say. The live chat is open for you to comment, but otherwise, this is a very crisp session on what we kind of plan to do next. In this session, we'll understand what is mains exam. We'll understand preparation as per the syllabus and the trend. We'll understand the time management till exam date of mains 2023. Mind you, 15th September 2023, as per the UPSC calendar, is the date uh, pre-decided for mains examination. And we will know about the score improvement program, revision programs of Revise for Eyes. So, what is mains exam? If we see the calendar of timetable of a mains exam, so mains exam is a written type examination which is done in 5 days. Now there are two sessions, forenoon sessions and afternoon sessions. Forenoon session is 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and afternoon session is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. On the first day of the paper, you have paper one, that is essay, and in the second half, that is afternoon session, you have no paper. On the second day of the paper, you have paper two, general studies paper one. You have paper three, which is called general studies paper two. Then on the next day, without any break, if you get a break, that's good. But otherwise, the consecutive day, you have paper four, that is general studies paper three, and the fifth paper, general studies paper four. And on the consecutive day, next day, you have the language, Indian language paper, which you have given, and in the second session, you have English paper. And last day of the exam, you have optional paper, whatever option you have taken, that is paper number six, optional paper one, so and paper number seven, optional paper two. Now this is the sequence of examination, and if you're lucky enough, you get a weekend in between as a break. But otherwise, we consider that there is no break and there is no time to think that I am going to prepare overnight something and give in the next day, especially for GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 4. Now, this area, that is essay paper, GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 4, is mandatory or is common to all the aspirants, and these are the scores which matter for the cutoff of the list. Paper on the qualifying papers are Indian language and English language, whereas the other scores which are considered are optional paper 1 and optional paper 2. So these 5 plus 2 are considered for your final list, and in that these 5 papers are the paper which all of them give. So the many people say that UPSC do standardization of mark, and so in GS papers there are no such things, because everybody is going to give the paper. And mind you, if the paper is tough to you, it is tough to all. If it's easy to you, then it's easy to all. So that's the kind of a common you know uh, analysis which we can understand from the first 3 days of the examination, and which covers 5 papers. Then again, optional paper are different, but today we are talking about GS papers only, and we have another session for the essay one. But this session is talking about paper GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS. Now, what is mains examination? The mains examination, what are the score pattern? It's a 3 hours exam. We saw the schedule, and in that, essay paper is of 250 marks, GS paper is of 250 marks, GS paper 2 is of 250 marks, GS paper 3 is of 250 marks, and GS paper 4 is of 250 marks. So you have 250 marks, 180 minutes for all these papers. And when including the paper 1 and paper 2 are optional, the total mark comes out to be 1750. An interview in the third stage is of 275. Basically, let's do a little bit of analysis. What kind of effort do we need in this 3 months to get to the final list, is what this slide talks about. If you score averagely 50%, then your mains optional main score is around 875. And even if you get it in interview 50%, then your uh, score is about 1012. Or 1012, you are definitely in the service, that in fact you're amongst the toppers. And if you score around 40% of the sum of 1750, that's around 700. I'm all talking about general category uh, marks, general category marks. So around 700. And then you are at if you get 40% interview, then you're at 810. Then it's on luck whether you are there on the cutoff. In fact, you're not there in the finalist, but at 700, for 700, you kind of many times, because the mains cutoff marks usually is around 700, 710 to 750, in that region. So you are there already in the list for giving the interview. So these are all kind of parameters. So what kind of effort do we need? We need an effort of getting closer to the mark of 50%. If we clear the mains total around 810, 820, that makes us very, very relevant profile or a candidate to be in the final list. Now, interview is another session. Interview is definitely dependent, but then cutting off or giving a performance which is around 810 plus is definitely is what we are targeting in this kind of program which we are mentoring for. So, understanding that the entire activity which the next 3 months or the time we have is about how do we write relevant things so that we get around the mark of scoring 50% marks or average to 50% mark in all the papers. So that's the intention, and that's where the difference lies between candidates who will now write and practice, and candidates who will read lot of content, read lot of or collect lot of content, and spend lot of time learning from various sources, but definitely are not writing it down or not using their hands to write any kind of examination. It's a very simple thing. If you are running a marathon race, you just can't walk on the day of marathon and run the entire marathon. You have to start the preparation maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months before, and every day add up a little extra than what you have done before to actually cover that 42 kilometers of marathon, or the in a stipulated or a relevant time with a time. Otherwise, what happens is, if you see the examination paper, it's actually very, very predictable. And let's use our brain over here and understand that you yourself can predict what is the questions coming and where it is coming. You just see the past 5 years question paper, and you can realize there's no magic to this. And definitely the question or the examination is here not to show your academic caliber. The examination is here as a parameter to clear the exam for joining civil services. This examination is not looking at your academic progression as a subject expert, but your overall knowledge and overall approach to that particular questions which is asked. Coming to the next part of the session, preparation as per syllabus and trend. See, the syllabus, you are aware about the syllabus. You are aware about the kind of questions which come, like paper GS paper 1. If we talk of GS paper, paper 1 has 20 question, paper 2 has 20 question, paper 3 has uh, again 20 question, paper 4 has I think 25 questions. So there are 10 questions which are divided into 10 markers, 15 markers, and 20 markers in paper 4. And you know that there are, like, bits and bits of question it's written in QCA. So you have to write your answers in that stipulated space with a stipulated word limit, and it is already there in your given to you to write. There's no separate extra additional sheet which you can add up. So you are aware that few things are very, very clear with you as of today, that you have a stipulated space, so you have to manage your answer within that. You have a stipulated marks, that is 10 marks, 15 marks, 20 marks, and you know that 3 hours is the paper. So you got to expertise in for that examination in these patterns. Because the paper is divided here, because as I mentioned, the syllabus is from the notification. You would have the syllabus. In our program, what we are going to do is understand each part of the syllabus and how it is relevant basically for this year, and what can be the areas, looking at the previous areas, previous questions, previous year's question, that we need to focus, like 70-30%, like 70% of the syllabus which you can do 100%. Which are those 70% syllabus that we will figure it out in the program. This is for, again, paper 4, that is GS paper 3 and GS paper 4. This is the syllabus. And mind you that each element which is written, each word which is written in the syllabus, are very, very relevant, because this is what your knowledge of for this public service examination, and this is what entails all the area of work of government and governance. So that kind of is very, very relevant, and being updated about every portion of the syllabus is, again, what a good aspirant would do. So that these are the times, or these 3 months are something about that. Now, coming to the next session, next part of the slides, is what is that I'm going to do in the next 3 months. See, there is no standard format. Everybody has their own strength and own weakness. What is, when you talk about this examination, the major impact with this examination is about writing practices. And writing practices is going to make hell lot of difference between what your mind is thinking, what you're able to write and express, and what the evaluator is understanding after you have written the question. So the plan which we suggest is more about writing. you know Without writing, there is no revision, at least in this phase of exam. So what we are going to what we kind of suggest is that to manage the entire portion, because portion again is very very fast, till we these next 10-15 days which are left for June. Let's say you kind of are still confused, unable to clearly visualize what you want to do, create a framework, or your work in progress is going on in multiple sector. You might have joined various institutes, you would have done all the hyper things which happens in the first 2 weeks is going after the result syndromes are going on. Then things settle down, and some regularization of activity happens on each day. As a matter of fact, what you have to do, every week you have to write one essay, every week, and get it evaluated. And that any essay program you join, wherever you join, you see that there is a progression of essay. If you have not joined any program, please write the previous year questions in examination conditions. That itself will be very very beneficial for all the aspirants, because there is no other uh, there is no other uh, you know previous year questions are the best way to actually guide it for self preparation. And we actually are trying to say that you write, and for evaluation you take your help, but see that you spend maximum time writing and improving upon what you have written before. Your knowledge should be summarized, or your the way ability to express through words is what is making your attempt relevant, or this attempt relevant. In July, in each week you kind of complete the portions of paper 2, paper 1, optional paper 2 in first week, paper 1 in week 2, paper 2 in week 3, and paper 1 and week 4. See, I have kind of why I mentioned this in this pattern, paper 2 paper, not rather than paper 1 paper 2. You see, the paper 2 is your last paper when you go and give the exam. Optional paper 2 will be your last paper. So what happens, your mind, your focus for the last paper might be disturbed. But if you actually do it from today, the last paper as the first paper for preparation, your preparation will be, your self confidence for that paper will be definitely there. Paper 2 of optional, you give it at the last, and the first paper essay decides the mood of entire examination. If your essay has gone great, then the entire exam is going to go great. If your essay has created some kind of a situation within you, then mentally you will be not be in that frame of mind to perform in every paper. That you can see in all the marks people get. So that's kind of a usual trend. In July month, we complete the standard syllabuses of paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and on week 4 we write uh, the previous year questions answer. uh, Writing is very very important, and may not be full paper but areas of paper. But yes, for paper 4 I have specifically mentioned writing, because now when you read about paper 4, there is the conciseness, or the you're not able to summarize what you are going to write, because it looks all like a story, but that's not what we want. So we need to write. So previous year questions writing, and completing the syllabus through writing for paper 4 is the highest recommended to create your notes. Again, in August month, the current affair part of the portions of paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 needs to be consolidated as aligned to the syllabus, and all the topics of updated topics for the current affair what happens. But optional paper, again, you have to see that you do keep on working on paper 2. These things are paper 2, paper 1, paper 2, paper 1 also means you are going to write full papers of paper 2, paper 1, paper 2, paper 1. So like that, you on the standard syllabus in July and the current affairs syllabus in August, you go to write, and in the last 2 weeks you are going to consolidate your preparation towards summarizing, revising, writing and revising, write and revise, summarize. You don't write full answers, but you know to kind of summarize. Okay, I know this topic, I know this topic, I know these three things about this topic, I know this topic, I know these three things about this topic. Like that you have to maintain, but everything has to be written. So what happens is your brain will be very very active on recollecting of every things which you have done previously, and your hands will be practiced enough. The marathon would be like, the D-day is going to come, so the entire 2.5 months practice of writing will make your hands write the paper confidently. 3 hours won't be painful. Now that is what is basically today's session is all about. And the last thing about is, because what is we are offering over here is evaluation of your answer sheets. So you can get your answer sheet, you write your paper. If you're doing self preparation, self guided preparation, or you're doing from various other institutes paper and preparation, we would recommend you to write in exam conditions, and we will help you in evaluation of your answers in the UPSC pattern. And you can see that there are two kind of programs. One is for paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, 1 month valid program, where you can give total 20 papers, five paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, and there will be two engagement session about GS papers. And then there is another program which is valid till 10th September, where you can give either papers or any answer writing which you are giving a previous year question, whatever, but it has to be UPSC standard, or any reputed institutes question paper which is again aligned to UPSC standards. Evaluation of answer sheet, that is where you would be able to kind of now this will be all done one-to-one basis, one-to-one counseling on Google Meet, and booking calendar and spending time accordingly. So what? So that's why there's a limited seat. So that is, you prepare, you get your questions answer evaluated, and see how you improve upon. We kind of mentor you in improvement towards the ambition, that is to get around the 50% region, so that you are not just in this cutoff for interview, but also for the final list. Now this is example for best suitable for, or we kind of recommend, uh, is like somebody who's already given mains and is really really doesn't want to invest much again in any of the institutes, and is doing self preparation at home, and wants to keep their preparation to themselves, and who are repeating the examination to improve scores and get in at, at the final list. So these kind of candidates, these kind of aspirants can reach out and to the website, and fill the form. And there's no timeline as such, because I we do understand that it takes time to gear up, so you can just join. But there is a timeline of where we will stop promoting the program. That will be around end of June. But we need to start with answer evaluation for mains, and answer evaluation for essay. So again, so the essay session will be in the evening. But with this, we close today's session. You have any doubts, anything, you can reach out to our website, or mail us at mail@reviseforeyes.com, and we are reachable to you. Thank you very much. So you have anything which you need mentoring, especially for the UPSC preparation or mains examination, where you feel you're stuck, you may reach out to us. Thank you again. All the best.